Jose Martinez, a beloved father and husband, gunned down right in front of his family's restaurant.
My mom comes back from the hospital with a watch and his belongings. No, our life completely changed.
Joselyn Martinez was just 9 years old when she woke up to find out her father was dead.
Imagine being 9 years old and try to figure out, why has my dad gone to heaven? Then later on learning that he was actually shot. He didn't die of some disease, he didn't die of a heart attack or an accident. He was murdered.
Detectives track down the killer. Justo Santos, the 16-year-old, confesses to the shooting, but immediately flees to the Dominican Republic.
The NYPD could not go there, pick him up, and bring him back because the Dominican law would not allow it at the time.
Unable to extradite Santos to the States, the NYPD closes the case.
She was only 9 years old, and I promised her that we would get that person that killed her dad. And unfortunately, I never was able to apprehend him. One of the few stories that I never got to finish, and that's where it hurts the most.
2 decades pass. Joselyn grows up, studies international law, and becomes a successful actress and singer. She thought she had flipped the switch and moved on, until she stumbles across an old wanted poster of Justo Santos.
It wasn't switched off at all.
Daddy's little girl vows to once and for all hunt down the man who killed her father.
What drove her is that she wanted to say to him, why the hell did you kill my father? What did my father ever do to you?
By now, it's 2006, the dawn of social media, so the determined daughter turns into an internet detective.
I decided to use social media because everybody was finding me online from high school or college. I said, well, what if I find this guy online?
She spends years poring over strangers' photos, but there are too many people named Justo Santos. She spends hundreds of dollars on background checks, still nothing.
I was so hard on myself. I don't even know how to put it together. But I needed to do it, and so I did.
Joselyn is missing one crucial piece of information, Santos's birthday. So on Thanksgiving Day in 2012, 26 years to the day of her father's murder, Joselyn goes to the 34th precinct. A compassionate detective conveniently leaves Santos's file open on his desk, and there it was.
She looked at the old case folder, and in the old case folder, there was an actual date of birth. It was March 4th. And now she went back in and ran information now with an exact date of birth, and bells went off.
I see his name, and it was a perfect match.
There, staring at her from her computer, is Justo Santos. But he's not in the Dominican Republic. He's on American soil, living in Miami.
It was nothing else I could think about but just getting this to happen, getting this guy arrested, because I've identified him now. Get him.
Joselyn returns to the 34th precinct, and now, working with detectives, is able to piece together a web of lies and deception. Just 3 years after allegedly murdering Jose Martinez, Justo leaves the Dominican Republic, flies into Puerto Rico to avoid immigration, and sneaks back into the U.S. He then applies for U.S. citizenship and lies on his application.
There's a questionnaire if you ever got arrested or if you ever were being pursued in an investigation or anything having to do with criminal. And he says, no, absolutely not. I have a very clean record. I am next to all the godly saints. I'm right behind them.
If caught, it's a federal offense. But again, Justo slips through the cracks and is granted citizenship in 2009. But here's the biggest shocker. He's working right under the cops' noses in, of all places, the Miami-Dade Metropolitan Police Department.
He has a Florida driver license. He's got a gun permit. He's got a voter registration card. He's got a social security number. He's not hiding. He's out in plain sight.
A quarter of a century after pulling the trigger, an NYPD detective flies to Miami and finally arrests Justo Santos.
Our detective goes down there, sits him down, talks to him. Yeah, I'm the guy. I confessed then, and I'm going to confess now. I'm going to tell you what happened. And he tries to make a logical excuse. This was self-defense. I just didn't randomly fire a gun at someone. Of course, he never says, what the hell are you doing with a gun when you're at that age?
You'll go back? Okay.
Justo waives extradition and returns to New York. They've finally got him. He's held at Rikers Island and indicted for the murder of Jose Martinez. Now Joselyn is about to look her father's killer in the eye for the first time. And so are the cops who chased him all these years.
So we're all there, and he walks in handcuffed, and actually I was maybe a little bit numb.
There was a sense of satisfaction being able to see him. He looked much like his picture, only a little bit aged, but I felt almost a sense of completion. I finished, I did my job. And unfortunately, it just didn't end.
Then, a blow no one saw coming. Judge Robert Stoltz floors everyone in the courtroom. The judge dismisses the case. He rules too much time has passed, and 26 years after the shooting, the case is so cold, justice can't be served.
Judge Stoltz decides that he would release the murderer based on his right to the speedy trial.
The truth of the matter is that he fled, he hid, he admitted to the murder of killing Jose Martinez. The judge totally forgot about that.
Despite fleeing and living a lie on the lam, Santos is once again a free man.
It still eats at me that this guy, this bum, Santos, is walking around free, smiling. And he hugged his lawyer. I kind of laughed at the whole judicial system here in New York. Yeah, okay, I did a year in Rikers Island waiting to come to trial, and then, you know, and here I am now, I'm free to go. I killed a guy, and I'm going back to Miami.
But Joselyn's story doesn't end here.
It sure is unresolved because I believe the federal government can arrest someone for lying in their citizenship application.
And they do. Cops arrest Justo Santos on federal charges, but will they finally be able to keep him behind bars?
And the person leading that charge, Joselyn, is with me now from New York. Joselyn, firstly, can I say I really am in awe of your crusade for justice here. I am sorry it has eluded you for so long. When is Santos supposed to go to court?
Supposed to go to court in April of 2016.
And I can't even imagine how difficult it would be to sit in the courtroom opposite the man who killed your father. Will you be there?
I've already lost the tickets because the court was going to be in February, but I've lost more than that. I'll be there.
Your fight to bring about an arrest here, Joselyn, has lasted over 2 decades. What's the end game here? Ideally, what would you like to happen to Justo Santos?
Ideally, at the very least, my father could be honored by having this guy deported, sent over to the Dominican Republic, and let these criminals know that they can just come and kill, that it's going to be forgotten, and that they're going to get away with it.
Joselyn, what would you say to other families out there who are longing for justice in the same way that you are?
No matter what happens, this is way better than me sitting around waiting for somebody else to do something about it. I feel very satisfied. I feel happy when I go to bed, and it's not easy at all. This brought up a lot of things, but at least I can have a smile on my face knowing, well, I did this for my dad.
Well, you should be incredibly proud of your efforts here so far. Joselyn Martinez, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And we will, of course, keep you updated on this case as news develops.